Hi, I'm Josh Zepps. Welcome to Life on Mars. It's a Brink special report in which we're going to tackle one of the biggest questions of them all. Are we alone? Or is it the case that right next door to our planet is a world that is also inhabited by living creatures? That is a question that belonged to the world of science fiction until not that long ago. But the past 15 years has witnessed a string of remarkable discoveries on Mars. And as the evidence from these breakthroughs has piled up, more and more scientists are tantalizingly close to saying what was once pretty unthinkable, that there really is life on Mars.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's something happening on Mars.
On January 15th, 2009, NASA scientists announced they'd found plumes of methane in the Martian atmosphere. It's a gas which, at least on Earth, usually indicates life.
90% of the methane that is produced on Earth is being produced by biology. So to see this gas with a very short lifetime on Mars could mean biology.
So does this mean it's proof that there's life on Mars?
Methane on Mars is kind of a magical, mystical discovery because it's one of the first clear-cut indications that there's an active Mars that could, with a capital C, relate to life beyond Earth. We may never be able to tell that Mars did not have life, but the possibilities today are we will be able to tell that it did or that it does. That's exciting.
On Earth, methane gas is produced in massive quantities by decaying plant life and by the emissions of animals, like cows, sheep, goats, and even, yep, us humans. And that's the way it could work on Mars too. Microbes living deep beneath the Martian surface might be emitting the methane that we're now seeing.
We have evidence that we need to think about in terms of the possibilities of life on Mars.
The methane on Mars was discovered using 3 powerful telescopes on Earth that looked at 90% of the Martian surface over 3 Martian years. That's 7 Earth years. And it was found in 3 specific areas just to the north of the Martian equator. Scientists say the methane seems to have been released recently. The gas just wouldn't look like this if it had always been there. It looks like something is emitting it.
When you make a discovery like this that could link to the kind of life processes we know and love here on Earth, that changes the bar a little. The same way a telescope seeing an atmosphere around a planet around a distant star, if it had methane, would have. So now what we've done is we've sharpened the focus on Mars as a good place to ask, are we alone?
Now, scientists can't yet confirm that it's living creatures emitting this methane, because the gas can also be produced geologically, either by volcanic activity, or there's another process called serpentinization. We'll talk more about those later. And the jury's still out as to which scenario is more likely.
The issue right now that we're actively considering is whether the methane that we have detected on Mars is a product of biology or a product of geochemistry. Right now, we think it rather favors a biological origin.
Of course, if it's biology, that is huge news. But even if it's geology, that's a pretty big deal too.
Either case, it's telling us that this is not a dead, cold, dried up planet. It's active, something's happening. It's got a pulse, maybe a weak pulse, but it's got a pulse. We're talking about the first discovery of another type of life. That's going to be important in a broad sense of medicine and biochemistry and agriculture, and everything we know about biochemistry will be expanded. And it'll also be a profound philosophical understanding of life in the universe.
So how did we get here? Not long ago, Mars was written off as dead, bereft of life, zip, nada, stick a fork in it, it was done. A cold, hard, dusty wasteland. But now, whether the methane turns out to be biological or geochemical in nature, Mars is very much alive. It's deja vu all over again as scientists learn once more that just when we think we understand the red planet, we find out something new that changes everything.
Each time we've taken a new generation of instruments to Mars so that we could see finer detail than we could see before, we found out that what we thought Mars was not the way Mars is.
In a way, we've been going to Mars for decades now, even if a human hasn't yet set foot on the place. The first flyby was made by Mariner 4 in the dark ages of space travel, 1965.
21 pictures were transmitted by Mariner 4, and they raised much of the veil of secrecy that shrouds outer space.
The first orbiter and lander, Viking mission, was launched in 1975. It sent back pictures of what looked like polar ice caps and dried up riverbeds, but no one could really be sure. Beginning in the mid-1990s, the images captured by newer telescopes and orbiters got better. But the biggest advance came with a ground operation. NASA bounced a couple of robot rovers onto the Martian surface. First Spirit in 2003, and then Opportunity in 2004. Spirit and Opportunity added something new, the ability to move and see new areas. We held our breath as the robots opened their mechanical eyes and gave us entirely new perspectives on the red planet. It was a view like no other, a 360-degree panorama of the Martian surface. And suddenly, Mars came into focus. A rusty, rocky landscape, pitted with massive craters and buttressed by mountain ranges taller than anything on Earth. The two rovers were sent to find out if conditions in this seemingly barren wasteland ever could have supported life. They prodded, they poked and drilled and analysed Mars rocks, searching for evidence of liquid water, the key ingredient for life here on Earth. Rover Opportunity struck pay dirt first, essentially making what amounted to an interplanetary hole-in-one. It landed inside a small depression dubbed Eagle Crater, close to a thin outcrop of rocks. On March 2nd, 2004, NASA scientists broke news that shocked the world.
We have concluded that the rocks here were once soaked in liquid water. So it's the kind of place that would have been suitable for life. Now, that doesn't mean life was there. We don't know that. But this was a habitable place on Mars at one point in time.
And so that opens up this window of possibility that maybe there was life early on Mars and it's still there, deep underground.
Was Mars alive? When was it alive? What is that real dynamic Mars that we now see? How will it inform us about Earth?
Until the rover's discovery, scientists had been divided on whether there was water on Mars or not.
One camp in the Martian community suggested that water was a dominant force, and if you have water, you have life. But there was another controversial opinion that suggested that these features were in fact formed by liquid CO2. What was needed was close-up ground observations, evidence for liquid water, and that's what the rover missions provided. Then the argument became stronger that, in fact, the mineralogy was being formed by liquid water. So that was a big boost for the water camp, and the liquid CO2 camp sort of disappeared at that point.
So now that Mars was shown to have once been wet, could life have arisen there like it did on its closest neighbour, Earth? And if so, had the life died out, or was it just hiding where we couldn't see it? Was there still liquid water somewhere on the planet? NASA's mantra became follow the water, and that was the guiding philosophy for their next large-scale Mars mission, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, or MRO.